Hi, my name's Daniel French. This is the first time I've gone live on YouTube. I've been doing a lot of Facebook Live with church services, but I thought let's have a go at YouTube Live and see how it goes. So today is the 22nd of July and it's the feast of St. Mary Magdalene. Someone who's much misunderstood. I think the person that we have in this saint, this disciple, is much less Andrew Lloyd Webber and much more a robust disciple of Christ, the one who we call the apostle to the apostles, the first person, a woman, the first person to bring the good news of the resurrection of the risen Lord to the 12 and to that gathering of people who are wondering what the future was. She brings us Easter, and I think that's why there's an egg. Do you notice in classical Orthodox iconography she's portrayed holding an egg? And I wanted to reflect on eggs. Let me just get one from the fridge quickly. Got a box of eggs here. Whoop. There we go. Now I think how we give and receive the church, eggs are a good thought experiment, a bit of symbolism. No one wants a raw egg to eat, and likewise you don't want a hard-boiled egg. Hard-boiled eggs good for salads, but really nothing much more excitement can come from that. You might want an egg that's boiled somewhat so it's still sort of soft in the middle, and in Britain we talk about egg and soldiers, don't we, that we can dip in. And I think there can be a model of church and mission which is about people dipping in now and again, but from everything that's said in the gospel, surely Christianity, surely the good news is more than just about dipping in. Now I could get the frying pan and fry the egg. I'm not sure how good I'd be at trying to record, talk, and cook. Probably hopeless, so I won't just now. But a fried egg it's got some kind of properties of parish life, I think. There's a core, there's a centre, there's the yolk, and the yolk is kind of intense. It's what flavours the rest of the egg. Without the yolk, what have we got? White. Well, white's good for meringues, but that's about it. And a church within a community is a bit like that. You've got this intense centre which flavours everything else. I mean, here in Salcombe, our church is physically in the centre of the town, visible from 360 degrees. And there'll be many who don't come every Sunday, but they consider themselves somehow part of the church. And so any priest, minister, vicar will find in a place like this that ministry is not just about working in the centre, but it's also about that greater, wider group of people who have some affiliation, who, given the census, would tick the box and say, I'm C of E. I come 2 or 3 times a year. I come to Christmas, Easter, high days and holy days, and weddings and funerals and baptisms, and in a sense, ministry to the outer core of a Christian community. The egg white is simple. It's kind of smile, hatch, match, dispatch, be pleasant and truthful and kind. In the interior, in the yolk, it's much more complex. There's a lot of expectations. That the church Times some years back had a poem about the perfect priest. The perfect priest is great with kids and yet gets on with the elderly. Is both an introvert and extrovert. Is always out and about, walking his beat, but is also doing enormous amounts of admin and study. Of course, such a person in the end is impossible. So the expectations within the core, within the yolk, are complex, but nevertheless they flavour the rest of the egg. However, the yolk is dependent. If you look at a fried egg, it's dependent on a very thin layer of egg white, in a sense, the local community gives some foundation, gives some kind of permission for us to be who we are. Otherwise we'd be a cult or a club. There's a sense in which they might not come every week, but the wider community supports and acknowledges the work of the church. Now, I've been keen in the last 5 years to talk about St. Benedict. I probably waffled on too much about St. Benedict, and so I could make this into Eggs Benedict. And I suppose the kind of parallel there is that there the yolk is pierced and pouring out. The goodness is flowing out, that the outer core, the white, is kind of wrapped delicately around the yolk, that there's more dynamic in that. And I think there's some of that as well in St. Mary Magdalene, and from what little we know about, that she was someone who crossed boundaries, for a start just by being a woman, giving of her resources, being there at the cross and at the empty tomb, and that's about kind of life-giving too, isn't it? And I think what I found really helpful about Benedict's rule from the 5th century is his keenness that we really understand how communities tick, and from understanding how they tick, delving deep into the life of God and the life of people, so that we don't become that club or that cult, but we become a vibrant, flourishing community. Well, I don't think in the end God wants us to be hard-boiled eggs, raw eggs, fried eggs, or even Egg Benedict. If we read the book of Revelation, we see that God wants to give a new heaven and a new earth, and that what he really wants to do is to crack the egg, to crack us and to scramble us up, whether left scrambled or a crepe or an omelette. We are to be mixed up, in a sense, together, so that we form one new community, where we are united, where there is one flavour that we all enjoy. So there's some thoughts about mission and ministry and St. Mary Magdalene. I always feel like I'm slightly skating on thin ice, because my wife did her degree dissertation on the role of women in St. John and Mary Magdalene, so I have to be careful and precise about what I say and don't say. But thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to any comments or thoughts.